Tell us a little bit about your experience in Gabon. What did you do while you were there? You were there recently.
I've been there over the last year and a half. I've been there 3 times. In the last year, I spent maybe 5 months there in total. My last trip, I went very deep into the bush, into a pygmy village, where I saw a Bwiti ceremony in a pygmy village, and I've sat with many different ethnic groups and tribes, and saw their different practice of Bwiti. What I've been doing is I work with drug addicts. What I do, or drug users. What I do is I do Ibogaine detox. In the States, and what's happened is during the course of making a film with the filmmaker and my friend and filmmaker Michel Negroponte, who did a movie called Methadonia, he's been following me around, and we've been working together for the last 3.5 years. And during the course of making the film, we went to Gabon, and I went to learn more and to become initiated. And basically what I do there is I participate in ceremony. I learn more about it. It's an incredibly deep and rich spirituality, and it's actually a technology around the use of Ibogaine that we have a lot in the West to learn about. I mean, one of the things about Westerners is we tend to think that we invented this type of thing, that we invented the healing arts, and I think we've lost a lot of the healing arts. I think that a lot of what's been taken over by the medical establishment has been the job of our grandmothers and our grandfathers, and we're losing those encyclopedias every time an old person dies. Like I come from a Greek background. My grandmother knew how to heal with so many herbs and home remedies, and when she died, that was gone.
The wise women.
Yeah, the wise women, and that is one of the things that in Gabon, although there's a fight to save that culture, and I think Bwiti will be part of that fight because of cultural imperialism and that type of thing. I think Bwiti is a system to help to save that.
Well, I wanted to ask about the difference aesthetically in a medical treatment of Ibogaine for drug addiction versus the tribal sort of a ceremony that we saw there. I mean, is there any crossover, or is the only common factor ingesting the iboga? I
think there is. If you're working, the crossover is if you're working with a good Ibogaine provider or Ganaganga, the way that you treat the person you're giving it to. You treat them like your child. It's very nurturing, loving.
That's going to have a transformation.
That's going to have a transformation. And if they're going through a heroin withdrawal or a cocaine withdrawal, they're going through a real difficult experience. So that I see as the same. We treat the person lying there, because you take Ibogaine.
But you don't rub mud on them or dance around.
No, I do.
Music.
I do.
Oh, you do. Okay. So you have more of a cultural crossover than a lot of
It's been developing in my practice. And I think that's increasing in the West in terms of Ibogaine treatment. I think that we're talking about a lot of a worldview, but you know, I've come to look at, I was a heroin user, problematically dependent heroin user for over 20 years on methadone, cocaine, and heroin, and I broke my addiction with one Ibogaine treatment, or Iboga treatment. And since then I've taken, you know, I've gone into this world of Ibogaine and Bwiti. But I've been looking at it differently since I've gone to Gabon. I see it, and I think that we're talking about metaphors. Some people say it's a disease. I don't really buy that. And some people say it's problematic or whatever. The metaphor that I'm using is it's a spell. There are spirits that are involved in this plant, in this substance called Ibogaine. It's the spirit of that plant, and there are spirits in opiates. And somebody, if you try to explain and I tried to explain what a drug addict is like to people in Gabon, and they would say, well, they're stupid, or it's their fault. Then I would say it's a spell as a way to explain it to them, and then it's a different way of looking at it. Then I started to take that same metaphor and use it, and it is a spell, for my purposes. And I think that I've been trying to take bits of this technology of Bwiti and use it in my own practice. And I
take it somewhat out of the clinical.
I mean, listen, at this point, I'm working with Nagangas here. I'm working, I'm taking it completely out of the clinical. I think that, and it's not my quote, it's from a guy named Keeley who said that the folk healing tradition of psychiatry is the youngest folk healing tradition. It's a baby. Okay, these are babies. This is old stuff. They know how to work with spirit. They know how to work with plant. And I'd like to take it completely out of it. I think the medicalization of everything from birth to death is a big problem here. I don't even think that getting a national health plan would be a good thing necessarily, because if you're a drug user, the place that you're going to die, most likely, is not even in prison or even in the handcuffs of some cop beating the hell out of you. It's in a hospital. That's where they kill folks.
And you have more limits to the options of drug users if there's a national health plan,
Oh,
right? Then
absolutely.
It's pretty much the 12, I mean, even now, it's pretty much a 12-step.
It's the 12 steps only. And this is the other part that I've been incorporating, is a harm reduction approach that...
We have a call coming in. Want to give it a
Yeah,
shot?
let's give it a shot.
All right. You're on.
Hello?
Hello. Go ahead. You have to speak up, caller, and there's a delay. I guess not.
They got
Yeah, try again. You're on.
Hello?
Hello? Hello? Hello? Caller?
Oops, we got 2 calls.
I know, but they're not, neither of them are on.
Try again, Mom.
We'll try again, all right. Okay, we try. The technology here is not quite as efficient for phone taking. Okay, I wanted to know a little bit about your experience in Gabon. Tell us how it was you went to, tell us about a typical treatment or a memorable treatment that you participated
Well,
in,
in
or a
Gabon, would
memorable...
you call it a treatment?
Or, yeah,
Well,
when you're there,
there's
it's
different
different.
types
It's a
of-
treatment here. What is it there?
Well, it depends on what you're going for. When I do the Bwiti, and like I say, keep on saying, I'm a new convert to Bwiti. I am a
So
Nganga.
you're studying.
I'm studying it.
Yeah.
And what I do is I do medicine. Okay, so there's different. If somebody's coming to be initiated into the Bwiti like I was, because
Right.
I had already overcome my dependency on drugs, then that's a different ceremony. If someone's coming to deal with an ailment, then that's a medicine ceremony. If someone's coming to get a consultation, that's
so
a different
there's people
ceremony.
that are just, say, seekers, like, that
Absolutely.
are interested in many different sorts of mind consciousness alteration.
Oh, yeah, those are Westerners, which it's not like ayahuasca where there's a vast amount of
What's
tourism.
ayahuasca?
Ayahuasca is another hallucinogen or entheogen sacrament that's used in South America amongst the indigenous
And
people
you're
there.
saying a lot of tourism, people go down there
Yes.
in order to find this and to take this...
The seekers.
Yes.
Yeah, seeker.
Yeah,
type
and,
thing.
there's some similarities. I think there's many plant teachers, and there's some similarities. The thing about Bwiti, and if you talk about its typical treatment or initiation, it is it is so rich and beautiful. There is the music. It's African music, and this is something that I
Now,
like.
do you dance with them when you're with them?
Yeah, absolutely, we
Do you
dance.
participate on that level?
Yes, absolutely. This is the original trance dance party, with an age-old 20,000-year tradition behind it,
Sure.
and an incredible sacrament. I take a small amount of the substance as well. Someone who's taking it is laid out completely, and then we dance and we call on the Bwiti, and we call on the guidance of the ancestors, and the ancestral worship can
Well,
be
tell
looked
us
at
a
as
little bit, because we saw some of those videos. Tell us a little bit how it goes down. What you go
Someone-
out, tell us how one went. What
okay,
happened.
real brief. I mean, it depends
Yeah.
on what's going on.
So give us a memorable one.
Okay, well, mine was pretty memorable. I mean, what happened was I went out and I picked. We found the right Nganga, which is the shaman, and there's a purging that goes on. You know, someone has to purge themselves, so they give you something that's a concoction of a bunch of different nasty plants. And you have to take this, and so that's the first rough step on it. After someone has thrown up, okay, I don't do that part here, but they've thrown up and have purged themselves, then there's a cleansing, a bathing ritual, which we do incorporate somewhat here, and that's about trying to ask to get things off of you and to accept yourself, to go into the Bwiti and to come to healing, you know? And there's a confessional part. I think the word confessional is a holdover from Catholicism, which is a bit of a drag, but, and someone cleanses themselves, and they paint yourself. So what's happening is you're getting prepared.
What do you paint yourself with?
It's being painted with that white paint that
white
you saw,
stuff.
with a red line down the middle.
Where's the color? Where do they get that? What's the tradition?
It's a paint.
Makeup.
It's a makeup, but it's a powder. It's incredible stuff. I brought all this stuff back the last time I was there, and I think what they do is look, when you take Iboga or Ibogaine, it's a big thing. It ain't no joke. And this is what we do as human beings. We celebrate the difference.
Right.
And we mark, you know, whether it's a bar
Yeah,
mitzvah
rites of
or a wedding, it's a
passage.
rite of passage. And there's a beautiful rite of passage. It starts out with, and the music might start out, there's a thing called a magango, which is a mouth harp, which is wah, 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 and there's a hypnotic music that goes with that.
Sure.
And folks, and they lay you out, and you start ingesting this, and there's fires around. And